At Thanksgiving, I spent 8 hours cooking. Turkey, sides, desserts, everything from scratch. My aunt took one bite and said, "It's dry. You always overdo it." My cousin said loudly, "Can't believe we let her cook again." My mom just laughed and said, "She tries so hard, doesn't she?" I sat at the table while they passed around store-bought pies they picked up just in case. I ate alone in the laundry room. That night, I packed up my things. 3 years later, that same aunt sent me a voice message at 2 a.m. "Please, your mom's not doing well. She keeps asking why you never come home." 3 years ago, I cooked Thanksgiving dinner from scratch for 12 people. My feet were sore, my back hurt, and I hadn't sat down all day. It was cold outside, one of those gray Indiana afternoons where the wind cuts through your coat and makes your nose burn. I woke up at 6 a.m. to get the turkey out of the brine and started prepping everything while the rest of the house was asleep. This was my mom's house in a suburb just outside Fort Wayne. Not the nicest house. Carpet was old, stove didn't heat evenly, and the cabinets still smelled faintly like the mouse infestation we had the year before. But I was proud of what I made. Turkey with lemon butter under the skin, sausage stuffing, mashed potatoes with roasted garlic, green bean casserole from scratch, fresh baked rolls, real cranberry sauce. Not one thing came from a box or can, except for the evaporated milk I used in the pumpkin pie. 3 pies. I even candied the pecans. It wasn't about showing off. I just wanted it to feel like I mattered. I was 32, unemployed, and living back in my childhood bedroom after getting laid off from a job in Chicago. That meal was the only thing I had to offer anyone. So I gave it everything. By 4:45 p.m., the table was set. The turkey was resting. The pies were cooling. I changed clothes, washed my face, and even put on mascara. By 5:10, everyone had arrived. My mom, her sister, Aunt Melanie, my cousin Bree and her boyfriend, my Uncle Dave and his new wife, my mom's church friend Jean, and my brother and his wife. 9 guests total. I figured I'd stay out of the way and let everyone enjoy the food. I should have known better. Aunt Melanie stabbed her fork into the turkey like she was looking for something inside it. One bite in, she coughed into her napkin and said, "It's dry. You always overdo it." I smiled and said, "It might have rested too long," but Bree cut in, "Can't believe we let her cook again." Loud, like a punch. Someone laughed. I think it was her boyfriend. Then my mom chimed in, smiling at her wine glass. "She tries so hard, doesn't she?" My stomach dropped. The kind of drop you feel when someone slams a door on you, but you're still standing there. I looked down the table. No one was eating the stuffing. No one touched the green beans. Bree opened a foil-wrapped package and said, "Well, just in case," and put a store-bought pie in the center of the table. Pumpkin. Still had the Kroger sticker on it. Everyone smiled like they'd been rescued. Jean took one of the pies I made off the table completely and set it on the counter behind her without a word. They passed paper plates around, dished up the store-bought pie, and said things like, "Oh, this is so good," and "Now this is real pumpkin pie." I sat at the end of the table like a stranger. I wasn't even mad yet. I was numb. I stared at the centerpiece I made out of pine cones and gold spray-painted leaves and thought, why do I even try? I waited for anyone, to say, "Thank you for cooking." No one did. So I stood up, walked to the laundry room, and ate a cold plate of food on top of the dryer. Nobody came to check on me. I stayed in there for an hour. That night, after everyone left, I cleaned the kitchen by myself. Washed every plate. Threw away my untouched pies. At 1 a.m., I packed a duffel bag, got in my car, and drove to a friend's place in Cincinnati. I left a note on the counter that said, "Not coming back for a while." I didn't speak to any of them for 3 years. During that time, I started a little baking business out of my apartment in Cincinnati. Sold pies and cookies at farmers markets, then started taking custom orders. I worked at a gas station during the day and baked at night. My hands were always raw from soap and dough, but it felt good. I didn't make much, but it was mine. My mom called a lot that first year. I didn't pick up. She left voicemails saying she missed me. Sometimes she'd say, I didn't mean what I said, but never got specific. The others didn't reach out at all. Not once. Then, last November, I got a voice message at 2:04 a.m. It was Aunt Melanie. Her voice was slow, tired, maybe drunk. She was crying. Please. Your mom's not doing well. She keeps asking why you never come home. I don't know what to tell her anymore. I listened to it once, then again, and again. I didn't cry. I didn't feel anything. Not at first. But by morning, I pulled out a notebook and wrote down everything I remembered about that Thanksgiving. Every word. Every look. And then I made a plan. I didn't call her back. Not yet. I didn't even tell my mom I got the message. I wanted to see what they'd do next. For 2 weeks, silence. Then a card came in the mail. From my mom. No return address, just a shaky handwriting I almost didn't recognize. Inside was a photo of me at age 10, holding a pie in the old kitchen. She wrote, I keep this on the fridge. I'm sorry for not standing up for you. Love, Mom. That was it. No apology for what she said. No mention of that day. Just those few words. I still didn't call. Then, a few days before Christmas, Bree messaged me on Facebook. The cousin who mocked me, who passed the store-bought pie like it was gold. Hey, heard about your baking business. Would love to talk sometime. Also, Mom's been a mess. Your mom's getting worse too. Maybe come visit? No apology. No mention of Thanksgiving. Just would love to talk. I ignored her. A week later, someone left a 1-star review on my business page. No comment, just the rating. I don't have many customers, so it stuck out. Then 2 more, same thing. Anonymous. 1 star. No explanation. I got nervous. Emailed the website host. Nothing they could do unless someone wrote something false. Just subjective opinion. Then I saw a new review pop up, this one with a comment. Burnt crust. Attitude to match. Would never order again. It was under a fake name, but I recognized the tone. I clicked the profile. Only other reviews? One for a dress shop in Fort Wayne. Another for a salon Bree used to work at. All 1 star. My hands shook. I sat there in the dark, reading it over and over. My business was all I had. My only thing. I finally snapped. I messaged Bree. You leave another review like that, and I will drive straight to Fort Wayne and knock on your door. You think I won't? Try me. She read it instantly. No reply. But the reviews stopped. Still, something in me cracked open after that. The anger I'd been holding back finally had air. I didn't just want distance anymore. I wanted them to feel it, to know what it felt like to be pushed out, humiliated, ignored. So I started planning something for Thanksgiving. Not a meal. Something else. That spring, I got a call from a hospice nurse. My mom had fallen and hit her head. Nothing fatal, but she wasn't recovering well. They thought it might be the start of something worse. She'd given them my number as her emergency contact. I asked if she'd mentioned anything like wanting to see someone. The nurse hesitated, then said, she keeps asking if her daughter's coming home. She says she made a mistake. I thanked her. Hung up. Then I opened a new document on my laptop and titled it, Thanksgiving Redemption. Not for me. For her. But I wasn't coming back empty-handed. And I wasn't coming back as the same person they laughed out of the room. I started showing up in Fort Wayne without telling anyone. First trip, I drove up on a random Tuesday in September. Parked 4 blocks away from my mom's house, walked past twice. The blinds were closed. Grass was overgrown. A different car sat in the driveway, a beige Toyota I didn't recognize. I didn't knock. Instead, I went to the local craft fair and rented a vendor booth under a fake business name. Prairie crust pies. Same recipes, different name. I wore a hat and glasses, kept my head down. Sold out in under 3 hours. The lady at the next booth, older with a thick Fort Wayne accent, said, "These are better than anything I've had at Melanie's Thanksgiving." My stomach twisted. I said, "Melanie." She laughed. Yeah, her daughter Bree always talks about her mom's cooking. But every year it's the same crap pies. Drives my sister nuts. She's always bringing store-bought and acting like she made, That night, I made a second plan. In early October, I created a new email account and sent an anonymous tip to the local community newsletter that Aunt Melanie was hosting a holiday recipe tasting event at her house. I knew she wasn't, but I knew she'd jump at the attention if people started asking. Sure enough, 2 weeks later, she posted on Facebook, "So excited to share some of our family's favorite recipes this season. Stop by for a taste." She listed a date, November 18th, the Saturday before Thanksgiving. I signed up for a vendor booth under Prairie crust pies again. Only this time, I brought something new. An old family recipe for cranberry sage stuffing. Melanie's exact stuffing recipe. Word for word. Down to the chicken stock brand. I handed out samples at the event. Got tons of compliments. People asked for the recipe. I smiled and said, "It's my grandmother's." Melanie walked over halfway through the day. Didn't recognize me. Picked up a fork, tasted it. Then squinted. "You from around here?" she asked. "No," I said. "But my family is." She looked closer. Her eyes narrowed like she almost had it. But then someone called her name, and she walked away. Later that week, Bree posted a photo on Instagram, her holding a pie at what looked like their Thanksgiving setup. She captioned it, "Some traditions are worth keeping #homemade. It was my pecan pie. Same design, I always did whole pecans arranged in a spiral, single cracked one in the center. No way it was coincidence." She'd taken one of the pies I brought to the event, claimed it as her own, and passed it off like nothing. I showed the photo to the farmer's market director. He called me the next morning and said, "I don't allow vendors stealing from other vendors. Want to make a formal complaint?" I thought about it, but then I said no. I have a better idea. Because now I had everything I needed. That weekend, I sent out invitations. Real, printed cards, sealed with gold foil. Thanksgiving Eve, one night only. Private dinner. Invitation required. Location, a historic home I rented just outside town. Candle-lit tables. Music, only room for 10 guests. Inside the envelope, the back of the card read, "Come hungry. There will be pie." And truth. I mailed 8 cards. One each to my mom, Aunt Melanie, Bree's boyfriend, Uncle Dave, Jean, my brother, his wife. No names on the return address. Just prairie crust pies. I arrived at the venue early. It was an old farmhouse turned event space with creaky wood floors, low warm lighting, and a long dining table that seated 10. I decorated it myself, nothing fancy, just real cloth napkins, simple candles, and a small card at each seat that said, "Welcome. Let's eat. Let's talk." In the center of the table, I placed 3 pies. Pecan, apple, pumpkin. All mine. A sign at the door read, "Private dinner. Do not enter without invitation." Guests started arriving just after 6. Bree showed up first with her boyfriend. She wore a tight burgundy dress and looked like she thought this was a party worth being seen at. Her eyes darted around, probably trying to figure out if a local food blogger was hiding behind the curtains. Aunt Melanie came next, holding a bottle of wine and fake smiling like she always did when she wanted to be liked. "This place is adorable," she said, looking at me with a little squint, trying to place me again. She still didn't recognize me. That stung more than I expected. Then came Uncle Dave, his wife, Jean, my brother, and his wife. All of them dressed nice. all of them confused but polite. My mom arrived last, moving slow, her cane tapping the floor with each step. Her eyes met mine and froze. Her lips parted. She whispered, "Baby?" I just nodded. Silence spread down the table. I stood at the head and finally spoke. "I'm the one who invited you. You might not recognize me. That's okay. You didn't see me then either." They all just stared. I said, 3 years ago, I cooked Thanksgiving dinner for all of you. From scratch. 8 hours. And you mocked me. Passed around store pies. Laughed. I ate in the laundry room while you threw away what I made. Jean mumbled, that was a long time ago. Bree rolled her eyes. We didn't know you were gonna take it so seriously. I turned to her. You stole my pie. Posted it as your own. Passed it off like you baked it. Her face turned red. It was just a picture. I took out my phone and played a clip from my camera. Bree at the craft fair, stuffing a pie into her tote bag while glancing around. Gasps around the table. You were selling them? Uncle Dave asked. I nodded. She didn't just steal it. She sold it. Claimed my recipes. Tried to ruin my business with fake reviews when I ignored her. Bree looked like she might cry. Or scream. You don't get to do this, she said. You disappeared. Yes, I said. And it saved my life. I turned to Melanie. And you. You called my turkey dry before anyone even picked up a fork. You made me feel worthless in my mother's house. Then you begged me to come home when she got sick. Melanie opened her mouth, but I cut her off. Save it. I'm not here for your apology. Then I turned to my mom. I waited 3 years for you to say sorry. You never did. Not once. You laughed with them. You stood by while they humiliated me. And then you called and cried when you needed something. Tears slid down her cheeks. I was wrong. I should have stopped them. You should have stood up for me, I said. But you didn't. And that night, I realized I didn't have a family. I had a room full of people who saw me as a joke. Silence again. I built something from nothing. With my own hands. And none of you ever asked how I was doing. You just wanted me quiet, useful, or gone. I stepped back and pointed to the table. Eat, if you want. Every dish here came from the same recipes you laughed at. The same pie Bree pretended was hers. The same stuffing Melanie claimed she taught me to make. No one moved. Then, slowly, my mom picked up her fork. Took a bite of the pecan pie. She started sobbing. I remember this, she whispered. It's perfect. Just like it was that night. One by one, they started eating. Bree sat frozen. Melanie pushed her plate away. I took off my apron and walked to the door. Before I left, I said one final thing. This was your second chance. To see me. To thank me. To respect me. I looked at Bree. You don't get a third. I looked at my mom. I'll call you next week. But I won't be back for Thanksgiving. Ever again. I walked out into the cold, my hands shaking, but steady. Outside, the wind bit through my coat, but I didn't care. That night, I went home to Cincinnati. And, for the first time in a long time, I made a pie just for me.